This is my new favorite gin, and I want to give you the recipe and show you how to make it. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, this is Stillet, and today we're making gin. The reason? Because often I tend to get a little bit caught up in the fun and the chase side of the craft. I enjoy the geekery and the process, and sometimes I forget to just enjoy the actual product I make as well. So, with all of that in mind, let's make a gin that's just delicious and drinkable. A session gin, I guess you could call it. So I've already measured out all of the botanicals. They're sitting here ready to rock, and I would suggest you do the same thing because I'm using a slightly different technique today. That means you've got to be a little bit more observant at this point in time. Of course, we're going to talk about these in a second, and the recipe will be in the description down below. There's actually going to be a couple of different sort of sizes of recipe, depending on how much gin you want to make. Anyway, let's talk about alcohol. We're going to be using 50% ABV today, and we need 1.5 litres. Recipe down there for changing it into freedom units or this. So let me measure that out. That is going into the still, and the reason I'm putting it in first is because we're actually going to warm this up. Let me plug this in. I always forget. Every time I forget to plug the damn thing in first. I have a thermometer on hand. We're going to be measuring this every now and again. We're aiming for 50 degrees Celsius, or that, and we're going to hold it at that when we hit it. All right, so this is starting to warm up. We can get onto the botanicals. First up, Juniper, and we're using 45, get in there, grams of these bad boys. Now I am going to use a pestle and mortar. I don't want to absolutely smash this stuff. I normally do this in batches because I don't have a giant pestle and mortar. You know, and using these things is a lot easier when it's not super full. I'm also not stressing 100% about getting all of the berries crushed. And, you know, I'm not pulverizing them, just cracking them. Boop, boop, boop. Next up, we have coriander seeds, and I am using 11 grams of them today. Once again, I am just going to give those a light cracking. I'm just trying to kind of split the coriander seeds, if that makes sense. I don't want to crush them and powder them. I just want to break them open so they can, you know, the alcohol has access to them, essentially. In it goes. Next up is Angelica Root, and the stuff that I have is already shredded. We're only using 1 gram of this stuff. If yours is not shredded like this, you may want to kind of break it up a little bit. You can use a knife, you know, almost like whittling, or just kind of crack it and peel it, or just buy the stuff that's already shredded. Next up, we have lemon peel. I'm using 11 grams today, peeled off the lemons that grow here in our own backyard. Yes, they're ugly, but they smell freaking amazing. Next up, we have the 2 stars of the show for this gin, really, which pains me a little bit because I tend to be a traditionalist with things like this. I like a gin that is Juniper forward. But like I said, I'm taking my foot off the wanky pedal today and putting it on the drinkability pedal, and that is coming in the form of cucumber. 40 grams of cucumber, actually. That can go in. The cucumber is gonna, I mean, I feel like you guys have probably had a drink with cucumber in it before. It lifts it, it freshens it. It's kind of like putting mint in a drink, but in a very different direction. It makes it taste fresh and light to me. And that's what I'm after with this gin. Now the next step is gonna be a little bit tricky for those of you that are not in New Zealand, because I am using Kawakawa. Now this stuff, oh man, how do you describe the flavor or the aroma of Kawakawa? What I am going to do is crush this. I'm using 1.4 grams, and I weighed it. I had to be really precise with it because it either tasted like nothing or it was really overpowering. So 1.4 grams, and I find the smaller leaves work best. I'm going to give that a little crush. Man, if you know Kawakawa, jump in the comment section down below for me, please, and help me try and describe this to people that haven't had it before. It's kind of a mashup between aloe vera, green beans, and it's almost spicy as well, like herbally spicy. I don't know, man, it's tough to describe. But on the palate, it has kind of a peppery finish as well, which is going to balance out that cucumber. So if you're not in New Zealand and you don't have Kawakawa, I would suggest actually putting some peppercorns in here. I'd guess probably about 3 to 5 peppercorns would be about where you want to go, and maybe even a sprinkle of white pepper, because the pepperiness in this is similar to being in between black pepper and white pepper, in my opinion. Anyway, let's take a quick temperature reading. Oh, look at that, 50 degrees Celsius exactly. So I'm going to turn the heat off, pop this on because I don't want any of those delectable aromas escaping while they don't have to. We'll set it aside and I'll tell you why I'm doing this. The reason I'm doing this is generally when I make gins like this, the maceration gins, as opposed to vapor infusion gins, I tend to macerate them for kind of 12 to 48 hours before actually distilling it. And that's great, it's got a good result in the past. But recently I made a historic absinthe, which was absolutely awesome. And I thoroughly recommend you check out the video. It's this one here, there'll be a link in the description down below. Anyway, there was a technique in that called digestion, which is essentially heating it up like this. It's nothing new specifically, but it made me realize that I could do it with gin. And through some testing, I found that up to 50 degrees Celsius at around about 50% ABV gets me a pretty close approximation of macerating for 12 to 24 hours. And it's quick, which is pretty freaking awesome. While we're waiting for that, I need to tell you about this new Into the AM shirt, which is a collaboration with the CTC community. Thank you, Patreons, for helping me get the ideas for this. I really appreciate it. But this is the second shirt that we've made together with Into the AM, and I absolutely freaking love it. As you can tell, it's kind of similarly themed to the first shirt, and it has a bunch of little Easter eggs hidden around in it for people that are part of this community or that are into home distilling. So if you're kind of interested in this, I can thoroughly recommend Into the AM's shirts in general. There'll be a link in the description down below, and if you use that link, you'll get 10% off, which is, obviously pretty awesome. So check the link out down there, guys, and enjoy. So it's been a little over 2 hours now. I'm going to pop the top, just to have a smell. I'm always curious, and to get some B-roll for you guys so you can see it. That is smelling delicious. From here on in, I'm going to run this pretty much like any other gin I run. I'll get it fired up, ready to collect. And the plan is to take a small amount off the top, not because of quote-unquote heads with the spirit itself. It's because the flavor from the botanicals can be a little bit strange. So I took a small amount off the top. And I'll be honest, it tastes and smells kind of different than the last version I made of this. And at first I thought it was almost fishy in a weird way, but it's kind of almost like musty and like, I don't know, it smells, you know what it is, it's like kind of weird aquarium water. I think that's my connection with fish. Weird things happen at the beginning of botanical runs. Anyway, we're now into quote-unquote hearts. I guess that's not really the right word for it. Keepers, like the stuff that's going to end up in the glass that we're going to drink. And when I'm doing a botanical run like this, I don't bother with cuts. I'm not looking to decide, other than, the weird stuff is gone, I'm keeping it. That's it. The flavors and aromas are going to change constantly throughout a run like this based on the different botanicals that are in there. When it was first coming off, right after I cut from this jar, it was very juniper forward, and now it's kind of fading. Yeah, a lot of cucumber coming off right now. So in any case, when I'm doing a run like this, I'll just hang out in the shed. I've got, there's always jobs to do out here. I'll just hang out and do those. This is going to take a good long time to run. So anytime I come past, I'll just switch out to another glass like this, and I'll just tip it into a larger vessel. Basically what I'm saying is you can go into lazy mode, in my opinion, and just kind of run this for a while. The one thing you do want to look for is where the flavor just kind of disappears. It's just going to suddenly taste watery, thin, empty, or start tasting a bit strange. And in my experience, that happens nearly always with gin between 50% ABV and 60% ABV. So as soon as I note that we're getting close to 60%, you know, I'll start tasting it more often. In the test batches for this recipe, it was right around 55% ABV is where I made the cut. So I'm hoping it'll be the same and give me some sort of form of confidence that that is going to be consistent for you guys at home. All right, team, we are just starting to hit that empty, there's just not really a whole lot of flavor left sort of patch in the run, and I just tested it. Whoa, I'm dribbling everywhere. That's not very nice. Tested it with the Easy Dents, and we're at 57% ABV. So I think 55% would be fine. I don't think it would be bad. Get it put into here. Actually, let's just do this. Boop. And get this proofed down. Honestly, to taste whatever you prefer your gin to be at, I generally like it around 45%. I like being able to add a little less gin to things and still have them taste like gin. This one seemed to work at 42%. That's where I was happy, so I'm just going to do the same with that. And then we'll come back, do a little tasting, and I'll show you that drink I was telling you about. This is proofed down to 43%. I miscalculated and hit 43 instead of 42. So this second bottle might be a touch short. By the way, this recipe is supposed to make 2 bottles. I don't know, we're pretty close, pretty close. All right, so I've just proofed this down, and as you may be able to see, this is a little bit hazy at the moment. I think that'll clear up. I think it's little bubbles still at this stage. Honestly, if it doesn't, I'm not too worried about it. If you are worried about that, just, you know, you can add some more higher ABV spirit back into the mix, or you can just not proof it down as much. This kind of gin, to me, is extra important to let it sit for at least 3 days, ideally a week, because it will mellow out and round out quite substantially over those first few days. So what I'm going to do is actually taste the last batch that I made of this, and I think I made this right before Christmas. I was experimenting with it because my wife wanted gin for Christmas. Exactly the same recipe. I'm tasting this because it's had plenty of time to mellow out. On the nose, lots of fresh, vibrant cucumber, decent amount of juniper, the Kawakawa sneaking in at the end, mixing in with the citrus, and then the pepperiness is just sort of hinting on the aroma. And on the mouth, very similar, very, very similar, except the cucumber gives that cooling, fresh feeling in the mouth as well. And the pepper is a little bit more pronounced, sort of almost flirting with something like ginger, actually. Yeah. Anyway, the point of this drink was not to be pretentious and talk tasting notes. It's to drink the stuff. And like I said at the beginning, we've got an interesting little drink that is very unpretentious. And it just tastes delicious with this gin. So let me show you. He's just making a gin and tonic. How boring is that? Yes, but also totally not. Don't judge me. Just trust. If you make this gin, sacrifice 1 glass to drink with some lemon, ice, and Coke. There's something about it, man. There's something about it. I discovered this completely by accident at the end of a long night of sampling gin. I went to make myself another gin and tonic. And accidentally, I guess I was so tired that I accidentally put Coke in there instead of tonic. And said, screw it, I'm going to drink it. And it turns out it's actually really good. Somehow, it's kind of similar to red wine and Coke. Picked that up from some Europeans while backpacking. That's pretty good, you should try that as well. But there's just something about the cucumber and the Coke that makes it lively and refreshing. And there's something about that peppery aftertaste that mixes with the Coke and makes it feel like a real drink, if that makes sense. I don't know, man. Get amongst it, guys. Am I crazy? I don't know. You tell me. So I need to say a huge, huge thank you to Oh my word, there's so many things in the way. To the Patreons, thank you Patreons for letting me do what I do by doing what you do, which is supporting me month in, month out. I thoroughly, thoroughly appreciate it, guys. I really do. And to the rest of you, keep on chasing the craft. I will catch you next week. See ya.